Hi everyone, I'm Lisa. Today, we and I will talk about how to get familiar with NebulaGraph Studio with its online service named Nebula Playground. So, hi Wei.
Hi Lisa, hi everyone.
Yeah, for many fresh users, it would be a more easier way to access the graph data in a visualized way, and Nebula Studio can be the best one for this. And it is the online service to enable everyone to use Nebula Studio in no time with one click. So wait, can you show us what's it like to query data from Playground for the first time?
Sure, Lisa. So Playground, as Lisa mentioned, it's an online service that you can get access to the online studio without any credential or deployment. There are a couple of different playground with different data or different front end, and they are all under our NebulaGraph website of the nebulagraph.io/demo. And today we are going to focus on the basketball player teams one. That there are two buttons of this demo. One is introduction and the other is the playground itself. And I highly recommend you to quickly go through the introduction that I will omit here. So we'll go to the playground demo by clicking the demo. So now we are in playground for NebulaGraph Studio. What we can do next? There are four tabs here. So there are schema, import, explore, and console. In schema tab, you will know the data schema or even create that schema here. But please note that this playground is read-only. You cannot create a new schema here, but you can see what's inside of this data set. And let's focus on explore first at the first time. So we can start with the vertexes. And I already know, or if you have checked the article of the introduction of this data set, we can go from two players in this data set. They are idea player 100 and player 101. And after that, you will see two of the vertex displayed. And when you click them, you can see all the information of this vertex. And you can choose to show in different fields. For player, I want to know names and the age, and the teams I also want to know names. And you will want to show the edge types and some like follow degree and the start and end year of the serve edge. And what's next? You can give a different color like green, Tim Duncan in blue. Yes. And you can double click. And what that mean? Double click means you want to expand this node. And by default, in the expand panel, it's listed all types of edges and direction by default in outgoing. So we can choose to bi-direction and we can select different steps. So we just leave it as one step. So we can select the team Duncan and click expand. So it's equivalent to double click. So you can see more connections between them. But what's next? You can find all the connection between the two. So what can that be done? It can be done with the all pass algorithm. So we can play 100 and the player 101 here with all relations with bidirection, no limitations, query medium. Boom, you will have all the connections between them. So that's the first step you want to do with NebulaGraph with the help of the playground. And what's next? The next step I will recommend you to go through is to check out the documentation. The first two chapters I would recommend you to read is one of them is the learning path. So this is the first one you start with. And after learning everything in this learning path, you will have the basic concept of the graph database, the Nebula graph, and you can even follow its process to deploy your very first cluster. And after that, I recommend you to go through the Quick Start NGQL cheat sheet, which is the NGQL stands for Nebula Graph Query Language. And in this cheat sheet, you can select many queries of them. For example, this, you can go with the console function of the playground and paste here, and you will go and we will have your result. And it's the best learning circle between the documentation and the playground. So basically, that's all I want to share now, Lisa.
Wow, it's like a magic for me.
Thank you, Lisa.
I believe many fresh users will have the same feeling like me. So I have one
Yeah.
question for this.
Mhm.
I could only query graph data based on the known vertex ID.
That's a good question, Lisa. Very, very good question. Actually, fetching data based on known vertex is the most typical of the graph query. But NebulaGraph is more than that pattern. You can actually find certain nodes or vertices or edges based on its property. So that's something called index. The index is quite similar to what we have in the relational database. So actually, in the basketball player playground, index on top of the player fields is already created, and you can use that like this. But before that, I want to clean our data. I will go with the index. And here the index is on tag player. I will select the player name. So you can see here, you can specify the index filtering conditions. Here I will go with the player whose name equals to Yao Ming, and I will go. And before the query, you will see underline is another lookup query, and you will boom have the result only by knowing its properties conditions. And index query are more than equal. You can do more of that, and you can check on the cheat sheet here and make the query on the console here. And after you query the result, you can view the data by click this button, and the data can be rendered in your graph view. And I hope that answers your question, Lisa.
Yeah, I got it. Uh, so any students tips that are better to know for the fresh users?
There are a couple of tips I want to share here. You will also explore it from the cheat sheet or documentation itself. One of them is subgraph. That's a new query I didn't show you before, but we can go with the subgraph. We can find one of them from the example in cheat sheet. And here you will go with from this user, this player from 3 steps query. Boom, you will have explore the edges and the vertices from this point, and then you can view this subgraph. I will use incrementally. Okay, it will be all rendered in this view. That's the first tip that I want to share. Another one is that you can remember that we are I demoed to you that you can query by index, but for now, Studio only support query by the tag index. For we can still do the index on top of the edge index, but now you can do that from the console, and then you can view the data here. Another thing I want to highlight here is that not all of the demos are studio based. For example, this is based on Nebula Explorer, so that's even more powerful tooling. You can explore graph data.
Okay. Quite a detailed explanation for the tips,
Yeah,
and I'm eager to try it by myself now.
yeah, you can do that.
And today's demonstration by Wei is over now. So see you.
See you. Thank you.
Bye, Wei.
Bye.